When it comes to scanning locations in and around a warehouse, there are two different technologies available. The traditional laser scanner and the more modern 2D imager. But which one's best? While I'm on my travels today, I'll put together a video covering items such as lighting, the amount of information that you need to scan distances, things like that. And then at the end of the day, I'm hoping to have a video with a conclusion that helps you make the right choice. But first things first, we should probably look very briefly at the technology itself. A laser scanner uses a laser beam or a light beam and relies on reflection back from the barcode back into the reader in order to decode what the barcode says. And a 2D imager takes similar to an image or a photograph of the barcode itself and then decodes that. So one relies on light coming back in, the other one relies on an image or a photograph. So with the technology in mind, it's probably worth talking about lighting first. Traditional barcode laser scanners don't need very much lighting because they're relying on their own light source in order to read the barcode, whereas a two-dimensional barcode does need some lighting. It needs to be able to see the image itself in order to be able to create a scan or be able to decode the information from what it sees. It is worth pointing out here that some 2D images do have lights on, but they're not very powerful and they won't project that light over a particularly long distance. So even if your 2D image does have a light, ambient lighting still might play a part. At this point, it's probably worth talking about a material called retroreflective, which is a reflective base material. And the idea here is that it reflects more light back to the scanner. That subsequently increasing the scan range, but obviously that only works with a laser scanner where there is light emitted from the scanner and relies on reflection back, and it doesn't elongate the distance with a 2D imager where it's only trying to take a photograph or look at the image itself of what it's trying to capture. So retroreflectives work on and will increase the scan range of a one-dimensional barcode if used with a laser scanner, but it doesn't add any benefit with a two-dimensional or an imager. So let's move on and have a look at the data itself for location labeling. Not normally a lot of information being transferred from the barcode into electronic format, normally just a few alphanumeric characters. So here, personally, I think a one-dimensional barcode, no need for a QR code necessarily, nice and simple, not a lot of information to transfer. Don't really see a benefit in having a QR code at this point, irrespective of what the media is. Don't need any added security. I think a 1D barcode for all applications is probably preference. Now let's talk about the size of the barcode itself before we move on to scan ranges in the conclusion. Linear barcodes, 1D barcodes, nice and easy because we can utilize the length of the beam. We can make them quite long if we need to. Very often upping the barcode size, what we call the X dimension, and making the bars fatter. Increases the range. Bit tricky with QR codes, particularly on beams. Very often we have a height restriction. Shelving sometimes maybe 30 millimeters on rack faces, sometimes 60, 70, 80 millimeters. Difficult to make a QR code a lot bigger. And there's also some restrictions around the sort of the imager technology and how much that works. But linear barcodes, nice and straightforward. We can make them quite big and chunky, and that will increase the range. Labels on beams, labels on shelves, we can make them longer. Bit tricky with QR codes. We're restricted to the height of the beam or the shelf available to us. Now, the all-important scan range. A couple of things to be careful of here. As QR code readers, two-dimensional images, take an image, they tend to work over a shorter distance, which is why you're starting to see them popping up in retail, door-to-door deliveries, etc., etc. So images tend to work over a shorter scan range. I'm trying to establish whether there's any technology that elongates that. But more traditional laser scanners can have different focal points in them. The kit can go to much longer scan ranges. We did a trial many years ago now where we actually scanned a barcode over 18 meters using a very long range scanner and a retroreflective material. The barcode was only sort of 400 millimeters wide, sorry. So the nub of it is 2D images and 2D barcodes barcodes tend to work on much smaller ranges. Laser scanners set up correctly with the right engine and the right barcode size, you can get much longer scan ranges and utilize the length of the beam or the height of the frame. So in conclusion, digital images and QR codes I think are really good for shelving applications where you've got a very short scan range. That's why you're seeing them pop up on sort of deliveries where there's a much shorter scan distance. Anything over about 600-700 millimeters though, you might start getting into trouble. So ideal for the short range stuff. Linear barcodes and laser scanners work well on shelving, but also work further up through the warehouse into racking, pallet label scanning, hanging signage, floor labeling, and various other items. So they tend to, in my opinion, be a bit more versatile. But as with all these things, just make sure you get your specification right. You do plenty of testing in the first place and make sure the operation system works for you. What I wouldn't want anybody to do is go down a rabbit hole of thinking two-dimensional or QR codes are right for you and then miss the location labeling bit. Missing that bit might cause you a bit of a problem later on. But if you've got any questions, do feel free to reach out to me. I'll answer them as best I can.